Hey guys, weekend energy update. We got a lot to talk about this weekend. There's a lot going on out there. Starting the weekend on Friday, we, as you guys know, have a building Mars-Jupiter conjunction in the sign of Gemini. And on Friday, the moon transiting through the sign of Libra is going to trine that conjunction. So we're going to have an air sign trine featuring the moon, Mars, and Jupiter. And this could really be, firing people up. There could be some big and very reactive or volatile emotional responses to things. The moon in Libra is also activating the black moon. And to me, that is sort of a recipe for people perhaps kind of like out there looking for a fight in the energy on Friday, feeling like maybe they don't have too much to lose and just ready to put it all out there. So something to keep in mind. We're going to talk all about it in our report for today. Moving into Saturday, the moon will oppose Chiron and then it will immediately enter the sign of Scorpio, form a square to Pluto. This could be something like an energetic hangover maybe from whatever we had going on Friday. And then as we move into Sunday, this is actually sort of the most chilled out, softer vibe day of the weekend. The moon in Scorpio will form a sextile to Venus in the sign of Virgo. Really great day. Actually a really great weekend all the way around to get things done. If you have extra energy, putting it into like productive household tasks and like reorganizing and stuff like that, very good way to use this energy as opposed to kind of like spiraling out of control and coming for someone's like throat or something like that, because a lot of people are going to be taking it that way as well. But overall, you guys, lots to talk about. Let's put it all together. Let's see what's going on out there this weekend and what it might mean for us as we head towards next week. Welcome back to my channel, you guys. Today is Friday, August 9th, 2024. My name is Aubrey, and this is your astrological outlook of the weekend, where we are narrating the shift of the ages. In this video, we're going to talk about all the energy that we have going on out there this weekend and how it might be trickling down and impacting us down here as we prepare to move into next week. So that's what we're doing. As I said in my intro, you guys, I do feel like things are looking pretty lit out there as we move through the weekend, especially on Friday. People could really be on one. People could very much be spiraling or having meltdowns or just like very energized and passionate and motivated about the potential or the opportunity or the possibility or what they're trying to do or accomplish or become right now. There could be also some very aggressive verbal disputes going on. People who are loose cannons with bad tempers, I would, maybe go out of your way to avoid in the energy of Friday specifically. You may want to like steer clear of that. We are in this black moon energy that is activated right now. I talked about it in my last video. And we are also in this very like unrestrained Mars, Jupiter, Gemini energy. There's only 2 degrees between these planets now. Next week is really all about this conjunction. Jupiter is a planet of expansion and it supersizes things. Mars, of course, is the lord of the battlefield and has to do with anger and aggression, but it's also our passions and our courage and our motivation, and generally it's our energy levels and how we're acting and how we're behaving. So when we've got the planet of expansion that supersizes energy with the planet that rules energy, this is going to bring these very heightened levels of energy. And then we've got the moon in trine. The moon is our emotions. And again, Mars can be anger. This is a very strong setup and potential for passions. Like there could be like crimes of passion going on right now and stuff like that also, or like just being very passionately and emotionally driven, maybe like through anger to act in some type of like big or expansive way or like over the top way somehow. We could definitely see stuff like that playing out. And again, especially in the energy on Friday, because we are also in this black moon energy. The black moon happens to be transiting the sign of Libra right now. The black moon works in polarities and oppositions, and whenever we've got the moon transiting the sign where the black moon is or the sign opposing the black moon, this is what activates our black moon energy. And the black moon has to do with our shadow side issues, our fears, our worries, our insecurities, our doubts, and our inability to see how those are affecting and playing a role in coming out in our like conscious reality, we are unaware that, you know, a lot of times that they're even at the root or the source of the behaviors that are manifesting as a result of them. And what this energy does is a lot of times it triggers us. In the Black Moon in Libra, this is fears having to do with like not being perfect, not being accepted, not fitting in. It has to do with rejection. It has to do with, you know, where we're cast out. It has to do with what we are willing to sacrifice in and of our own selves and our own heart, essentially, and like our own purity, in order to feel like we are accepted or like we're part of the group, or to receive some type of financial benefit and feel like secure in that way. It can bring up all types of like toxic attachments and toxic relationship dynamics and stuff like that as well. And especially as a result of this Black Moon Libra energy, where people are feeling that things are not fair or not balanced, or, you know, even interfering with their peace somehow. Like, this could provoke some type of supersized, emotional, passionate, like angry or aggressive reaction. Okay. Also, you know, people giving 0 Fs. We've got to remember the South Node right now is also in the sign of Libra. That's karmic endings. And the Black Moon, like in the moon there, and then in this trine to Mars and Jupiter, people feeling like they have nothing left to lose, like they're done with the situation anyway, so might as well go out in like a blaze of glory. That type of thing, okay? Especially, again, if it has to do with places that they perceive are like unfair or unjust or unbalanced somehow. And, you know, we got to remember, this is also, we also have a square to Saturn going on. Like, the Mars-Jupiter energy is not just like operating in its own bubble, okay? It is happening and in corresponding with a simultaneous square from Saturn to Pisces. And this also really frustrates things, and it's a source of conflict in our ability to rush forward, to move forward, to expand, to grow, to like unleash in the way that Mars and Jupiter together want the energy to be unleashed. So this is another thing that could cause us to feel like things are holding us back or frustrating us or like unfair in some way, that could be playing more into the perhaps like explosive nature of the verbal expression of the energy as it's coming through. And again, this is likely to be more so in terms of like fights and conflicts. It could literally be fist fights. Gemini does have to do with the hands and the head also, so watch out for that. But also like more likely it's like verbal disputes, like heated arguments and stuff like that, like people really just like unleashing the like verbal weapons and words as weapons and stuff like that. Also, people are likely to like be and feel quite self-righteous and quite entitled in whatever it is that they feel like they need to get off their chest or that they need to express or communicate in this energy. Mars is also the self, and Mars is also the ego. And Jupiter, this is wisdom, and this is like the righteousness, okay? And when we put these two energies together, Mars and Sagittarius can also have this tendency of just like being a bit like self-aggrandizing sometimes, and just making us think that we know it all, and really like blow up the ego. And people may genuinely feel entitled to be disturbing the peace or going off on whatever tangent or spiral that they're going off on. They could really feel like they have the right to be acting or behaving or saying whatever it is that is going on. Just because they feel like that doesn't necessarily mean it's true. Remember, we've also got the square to Saturn, which is really also disorienting. Saturn retrograde in Pisces, like this is also introducing huge conflicts in terms of what is real and what is not, what is appropriate and what is not, what is possible and what is not. So there is this inherent state of like confusion sort of collectively, generally, or maybe disorientation about what is or is not, or are not wrong and right inappropriate actions. Okay, so people with the air sign trine going on, this is also a very communicative energy. We're talking about air signs here, very inflated sense of self, very like overconfident. You know, this can be a good thing too, both for better and for worse. However, people are probably really going to be having a lot to say about whatever their particular thoughts or perspective or emotional release needs to be in that moment. It could be people very full of themselves, right? Like showing off and showing out, especially we are still in Leo season. All the world is a stage right now. This is this very air and fire energy, putting on the show. People are going to be putting on some pretty big performances probably throughout the course of this weekend and next week. But again, the Saturn square is tricky, and I think that it's going to be causing a lot of people to kind of like melt down and kind of lose it perhaps as we move through this period of time, bringing up doubts and insecurities and questions, like I was just talking about, blurring the lines in terms of what is and isn't real, what is and isn't right, what is and isn't possible, messing with people's minds in some pretty significant ways, and slowing things down when people really just want to like riptide move forward. Okay, and you know, remember, Mercury rules the position of Mars and Jupiter in Gemini right now. Mercury is also in his sign of rulership in Virgo, but Mercury is also retrograde. There needs to be some type of reorganization or adjustment in how we are thinking about things or understanding things in order for true growth and momentum to happen and things to really move forward in alignment with the true growth and expansion that is trying to happen with the Jupiter-Mars conjunction right now. Saturn retrograde in Pisces, Mercury retrograde in Virgo, Mars and Jupiter in a conjunction in Gemini that is impacted by both of those energies. We have to learn or realize some truth about something in order to move forward. There's a missing piece of information or context or understanding that is necessary for whatever we're in the process of doing, becoming, growing, or moving towards. And like now, in order for that progress that we're trying to move towards to happen correctly, we've got to attain whatever we're missing, whatever piece of the puzzle we're missing, so that that can happen. And we might be sitting here feeling like we've got it, like we know exactly what we're doing, we know exactly where we're trying to go, and just like things are working against us, or they're just not moving forward in a way that is like facilitating our progress. But I'm telling you, because of the way that this is presenting, like there's something that's missing. We're talking about Mars and Jupiter. This is the force of growth and expansion happening in the sign of Gemini. This is about information. This is about what we're learning, but it's squared by Saturn and Pisces, which is confusing us on some level. Like we're not seeing something clearly, and that is a hindrance that is blocking the growth somehow. Even though it may not be manifesting like that, it could be manifesting in terms of like other random stuff that is like interfering with us right now. But like on an energetic level, it's something about like a missing piece of information that is distorting our perception in such a way, or the way that we're using our energy, that is causing these blockages somehow. But Mercury's retrograde in the sign of Virgo, which is also his sign and has a lot to do with organization and information and like linear thought and stuff like that, context, details. There's a detail missing, there's a piece of information that's missing, there's a piece of the puzzle that's missing, there's a piece of context that's missing. Like we need to learn something in order to unlock like the next level that we're trying to get to and trying to move towards. And that's what this Mercury retrograde, I do think, and the month of August is going to do for us. It reminds me of like I don't know if you guys have ever done escape rooms or anything like that. Me and my older son are really into like that type of stuff, like figuring out like that type of like codes and solving riddles and stuff like that. And we have this board game. It's a Clue board game, but it's like an escape the mansion or whatever. There's like an escape room theme to it, and like the way that the game is created, you can't like get to the next part of the game until you solve every puzzle and solve every riddle that you need to in order to progress in the game. And like if you can't figure it out with the information that you have, if you can't figure it out, then you're just like at a halting point. And it's reminding me, like when I was preparing my notes this morning and looking at the way that this energy is coming through, it was reminding me of that, like when just being sort of like at a halt or at a stopping point, because we either need to figure something out, we either need to like look at things a different way with this Mercury retrograde energy, we need to like shift our perspective in a way that helps us solve the problem. We need to find the solution somehow in order to like unlock the next part of the journey, or like move us forward in the next phase that we are like trying to get to now. So we're actually, I think, in the process of leveling up, and we are going to get there. We are going to be able to ride this momentum, but there's something that we need to figure out first in order to get past that point. Okay, so overall though, on Friday I do feel like it's going to be a real busy day when we've got Mars and Jupiter in the sign of Gemini together. Like that's just a million things going on, maybe pulled in a bunch of different directions, very high energy, very fast paced, with the moon trining it as well. Yeah, absolutely. A lot happening. I do expect though people to be kind of losing their minds more than normal as this month proceeds. Prepare to see a lot of like internet clips of people having total psychotic breaks in public, just again, like more than normal. There are minds out there who are not going to be able to maintain their composure as we move through these frequencies over the coming weeks. Increased levels of fighting, aggression, and hostility. Also, just like random acts of violence are likely to experience an uptick while we move through this period of time. It's just how it is. It is hot out there. Hot. I'm personally going to do my best to probably avoid like big public gatherings while we have Mars and Jupiter in a conjunction in Gemini and a square to Saturn. It's just giving like hostile, volatile, unpredictable. I don't mean to be like very negative. There are a lot of positive features of this energy. I've been talking about a lot of them for, several weeks now, mainly in terms of the personal growth and the energy and motivation to pursue and expand our passions, to learn new things. It opens our mind, it enhances our skill sets, can also bring a lot of fun and excitement and enthusiasm and inspiration, reinvigorating like the inner child type of energy, very new and mind broadening experiences can come when we've got this going on. This is also really good for social media or communication. Lots of energy, lots of creative energy if you're trying to do anything with like media, writing, communication, or really any creative pursuit generally. But remember, we do have the Mercury retrograde going on. We've got the Saturn square. So this is slow and steady progress. I don't feel like it is indicating like explosive growth right now. People are saying that, but I personally just don't see it. But the problem is, it's also like great for games and sports and stuff like that. It's just that people are very, very fired up, and there's very little like verbal or personal restraint when we've got this energy going on. And with the black moon, especially on Friday, like people are triggered and people like to fight. They like to argue and to debate and to taunt and to threaten and to assert themselves and like even attack. When we've got Mars and Jupiter in the sign of Gemini together, especially verbal attacks and stuff like that, but attacks nonetheless, like there's no chill here. You know what I'm saying? Things are hyper reactive, especially with that moon there. Trines are beautiful, wonderful aspects, most positive aspects in all of astrology, but they also like facilitate things and make things happen bigger. So whatever's going on with the Mars Jupiter energy, which is already this very elevated, hot, verbally like uptight sort of energy, that trine is going to expand that. That's going to make it sort of like unleash the floodgates. But this is not water, this is fire and air. So lots of hot air going on out there, and you know what that can translate into. So that's why I'm kind of saying that and putting sort of like the cautionary information out there. Words and information, of course, can be weaponized to motivate reckless action in others in this energy as well. Do not allow yourself to be swayed by the pleas or the like fired up emotions or the narratives or the ideas and thoughts and opinions of other people. Jupiter right now as well is at 16 degrees of Gemini, and that Sabian symbol is a woman activist in an emotional speech on a platform, or a woman activist on a platform in an emotional speech dramatizing her cause. So, there's this big push right now to be like fired up to take some type of action on behalf perhaps of, someone else's cause. And we don't necessarily necessarily want to be doing that. This is about personal growth, personal expansion, broadening our mind, enhancing our skill sets. That is the best way. I feel like we can use this energy, not like spiraling out of control on someone else's crusade and getting ourselves into trouble in a way that we've got to learn a big lesson, okay, that takes us off track somehow. That can also be the way that this is going. So I do think that this is a cautionary period. People are just like ready to go. There is very little self-restraint going on here. And as I've said, best used constructively and productively for personal growth and fixing our own problems. I also expect things to heat up on the world stage this weekend and moving to next week. War, threats of war, attacks, you know, that type of stuff. Again, like very aggressive banter could be going on back and forth. So there's all of that. Things are just generally very heated right now, and I would say probably pretty delicate. Moving into the energy of Saturday, as I said in my intro, like, this energy reminds me a bit of like an energetic hangover based on whatever maybe went down on Friday. We've got a moon Chiron opposition going on, and then the moon will immediately leave the sign of Libra, enter Scorpio, which sets us up with a 0-degree fixed square with Pluto in the sign of Aquarius. It could be an emotional day. We could feel quite weakened or vulnerable or powerless somehow. It feels like the like emotional response or snapback maybe from whatever peak or just like fired up passion, whatever may have gone on Friday. The moon in Scorpio squaring Pluto at 0 degrees. This could also be some very powerful like emotional responses going on yet again, or it could be some very like transformative things happening within us as a result of maybe what we've just dealt with or what we're going through generally. Moon opposite Chiron and also the Pluto square. This could also be really like poking on some of our wounds, bringing up some painful emotions or feelings as well. And again, based on what it looks like on Friday, it looks like people could be going at it with each other, maybe like in a way, especially with the Libra, that's other people and that's relationships. There could be some real like serious or heated fights or conflicts going on in relationships that have people really kind of like licking their wounds on Saturday. So there's that. But if you are able to, you know, avoid the heat this weekend, really creative projects, reorganizing, cleaning, rearranging, as I've said, housework, fixing things, any type of art or choreography or like deliberate or performative movement or activity generally, like sports and games and stuff like that. I said, move your body, create things. This is where we want to focus. If you have a lot of energy, use it to get things done that are ultimately going to like be functional and productive and effective and make your life easier. Don't use it to just like come for someone because you're feeling upset internally and you want to try to make yourself feel better by unleashing your rage. Like that's, people are going to be doing that. But there's better ways. Okay. If you're feeling like that, we need to do what we can to try to build ourselves up, not tear someone else down, which is ultimately going to snap back on us. Okay. So be active, be proactive, be productive, be motivated, be assertive, but be mindful of being even perhaps unintentionally aggressive, combative, argumentative. Is it really worth it in the context of the bigger picture? Mars and Jupiter. We also have to keep in mind, like, are our actions the right thing to do when we're looking at the bigger picture, or is this just some type of like ego issue that I'm dealing with in the moment that is gonna be me shooting myself in the foot somehow? Okay, so that's what matters here, is the bigger picture perspective. We want to choose our words and actions wisely. You want to talk about the higher octaves of Mars and Jupiter together. That would be, especially in the sign of Gemini, brilliant, genius words and communication, strategic, and also very wise actions. Make choices and decisions that are well thought out in terms of the overall goal and strategy. That is the best possible way we can use a Mars-Jupiter conjunction in the sign of Gemini and square to Saturn. Thinking things through, being strategic, using the experience, or the wisdom rather, that we've gained through our experience and actually applying it to our choices and decisions, demonstrating our aptitude in terms of our personal growth up until this point and how we deserve to be released from perhaps some of the karmic cycles that we have maintained and perpetuated in the past. This is also helping, it's also kind of like a karmic test, okay? So self-discipline, self-control, thinking things through, wise choices and wise decisions when the entire impulse is probably not to do those things. I do feel like that is what will benefit us, and we may find that things go much better in our lives if we implement sort of that strategy, deliberate and conscious choices and actions and words to the best of our ability. I think this will help. So try another thing also, try to wait a bit before just like instantaneously responding to things if possible. We can, I do think, also kind of like avoid a lot of headaches and wasted time and money and energy right now if we are not reacting and taking action on things in like a split second before we have had the time to make sure that we understand the situation properly and like have all of the information. Like with the Mars and Jupiter in the square to Saturn and Mercury retrograde right now, there's a good chance that a common experience over this next couple weeks, this month of August, could be like things spontaneously breaking, but then also like spontaneously solving the problem or fixing themselves without necessarily much intervention on our part. And again, like I was saying a minute ago, by not impulsively and instantly reacting and trying to solve problems that aren't emergencies in the moment, I do think that as you know, if you give it a couple hours or as time goes on, you'll find a piece of information, or you'll realize it's just something small, or you'll realize that like, oh, it just wasn't plugged in, or like something like small and like insignificant, or maybe it will just like clear up, and you will realize or be grateful that you had waited, because these problems, a lot of them I think are kind of going to be like happening and then resolving themselves, and then like happening and then resolving themselves. Whereas like if you had immediately jumped into action and like called the repairman or bought a new one, or you know, done some big action to try to solve the problem that you thought you had going on before just like giving it a minute or making sure that you had all the information or make sure you understood exactly what's going on properly, I feel like we're going to be able to save ourselves headaches and time and money and phone calls and like all of that type of like stuff that is required when you got a problem that you need to solve. It's weird, but I do think that, you know, if you follow the impulse to act too soon, we could be ending up wasting a lot of time and energy and stress on actually nothing. And that probably sounds really weird, but let me know if you have experiences like that, because I just feel like that is a way that this energy could be manifesting. And I do think this is actually one of the many lessons that we're learning right now as well, is to be more deliberate in our response to things, even when we feel like we need to like explode in some type of response to things somehow. So that little note also. Now let's talk about Sunday. As I said, you know, this is probably the most chill and gentle and like soft-ish day of the weekend, although generally things are turned all the way up right now with Mars and Jupiter coming together. But the moon in Scorpio will sextile Venus in the sign of Virgo. This is, you know, kind of a more gentle and lovely aspect. It is another very, very great day to be productive, get things done with the moon in Scorpio and Venus in Virgo. Also, maybe getting your hands dirty, like some deep cleaning project or gardening work, yard work, very supported in this energy, or relax and chill on or around water or in nature. Good way to use the energy on Sunday. The moon sextile Venus, I do think, is tempering the Mars Jupiter firepower to an extent. So it's a really beautiful creative day on Sunday if you stay out of the passions and intensity that are also very amped up right now. Or also, though, that could just be a part of the beauty that's playing out, but overall very creative, powerfully creative energy going on Sunday. Deep conversations, also deep feelings and deep conversations and deep expressions of emotions or affection could be going on bringing solutions and remedies to root issues as well with the sextile between the moon and Venus and Scorpio and Virgo. And another thing, we have Mars this weekend at 14 Gemini. That Sabian symbol is bridging physical space and social distinction. Two men sit in telepathic communication, and it is all about the informational communication component of things right now. So there could be a much greater than normal aptitude to sort of send and receive or be open to interpret and get, telepathic information coming through this weekend. So telepathic communication highly likely out there right now as well. Again, Jupiter at 16 Gemini, the woman activist on the platform, dramatizing her cause in an emotional, people making emotional and dramatic displays to try to get something, to try to provoke action somehow. And also Saturn right now at 19 degrees of Pisces, that Sabian symbol is a master instructing his disciples. So remember, you guys, this is a course in self-mastery. At the end of the day, slow down, try not to react on impulse. If it's not an emergency, wait for more information. If you don't know for sure what's going on, wait on it. Best not to jump into action again, unless you absolutely have to. And we don't want to get involved with things prematurely right now that end up not even being actually what we thought, and people are going to be doing that. So that's what I have to say today, you guys. That's how I feel like energy is functioning for us, carrying us through the weekend, preparing us for next week, which is going to be just, it's our Mars-Jupiter conjunction week. And I believe this Saturn square is probably going to come exact as well. So it's probably going to be a very interesting week. We'll put it that way. Let's get a synchronicity card now. God, Spirit, Universe, what is one additional piece of information or advice that can guide us through our weekend? What do we need to know? What should we keep in mind? So we got the No card, and then we got the card Love Equals Respect. So if there's something that you're pondering or deliberating on out there just in this moment, the answer for you might be no. And love equals respect, appropriate for what we've got going on this weekend. The children of this world are given in marriage, Luke 20:34. God is love, and when true love in the heart unites a man and a woman, it is God joining a couple. When difficulties and arguments occur, dissolve the problem in the light of God's love. Love, goodwill, and understanding are the keys to all human understanding. Respect one another. Refusing to treat one another with respect may cause more harm than any other act, and that might be the missing key in terms of relationship dynamics going on out there. There may be a level of respect that is not being dealt with properly or given or received, and that could be contributing to some of the issues going on, especially on Fridays. So love equals respect, you guys. That's our advice for the weekend and what we should probably keep in mind as we move through this next couple of days. So that's what I have to say, you guys. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends if you think that they would enjoy this type of astrology content as well. Leave me comments, you guys. I really appreciate you so much. Your presence here is so valuable to me. If you guys are having experiences that line up with what I'm talking about in these videos, please let me know in my comment section below. So grateful for you. Thank you so much for being here. If you want to know what's on this whiteboard, I have a Facebook group where I post pictures of these boards. It is linked in my description box below. And come back with me on Monday, you guys. Hot, hot, hot. We have a very fired up week of astrology to get into, and I will be here to talk all about it. You should be here too. You don't want to miss it. I will see you then, everyone. Have a lovely weekend, and until then, bye guys.